WIKA design meeting on building the business and the app. Today is 7th January 2025. The agenda is just to review the funding progress. We look at the business structure and we discuss how we're going to integrate the technology. So that's the meeting. It's not a big meeting, it's just a follow-through meeting so that we are up to date in terms of what we're doing. Okay. Let me then start by asking you to maybe, I can share my screen, by the way. Let me share my screen just to guide us.
Add me in on the other gadget.
Oh, I see. You've come in as somebody else.
Wait, Martin.
Yes. I've admitted you.
Okay. So.
All right.
No, you. Okay.
Yeah, there's an echo now. Can you see my screen I'm sharing?
Yes.
Okay. I'll just change the things we'll discuss here. We'll discuss more of the program structure. All right, so these are things we can discuss as we're waiting to start the work. All right, so I've written it this way. The agenda is funding progress. We discussed that. Program structure. We discussed that. And partnership approach. But I think we should also discuss the legal issues. So maybe I'll write here legal issues. Okay. Yeah.
Oh boy.
So that's now what we'll cover. This is the agenda. The funding progress, the legal status, program structure, and partnership. So it's not really a long meeting. It's just touching base on these things. And I think each one of them should take about 10 minutes, something like that. All right, let's start with this one, funding progress. Financial feedback. Do you have any financial feedback or any feedback from those guys?
Yes.
All right.
So you remember that document I sent you?
Yeah.
To sign.
Right.
It was called individual commitment of something training of the project WIKA.
The personnel.
So I sent that.
You asked me to sign the personnel section.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I sent that because that's what I received, and then they told me.
Yeah.
That I have to sign the contract first.
Do you have the contract?
I don't have the contract. That's the thing. I was telling them I didn't see the contract.
Yes.
I thought that document was the contract. So I told them if that document is the contract.
Yeah.
Just tell me where I need to sign, because they said I need to sign first that before they do other things.
Right.
Yeah, so now I've just opened the email. I see they responded.
Okay.
So they're saying, absolutely, the contract represents the individual commitment. For now, we will need the form completed with your personal information. The signature will be requested. The legal department signature. I don't understand.
Yeah. That document says it's an agreement. That document. They call it a
Yeah, but
commitment agreement. Yeah.
I don't understand. She said, "Thank you for sharing the completed commitment form with us." Now I don't understand what she means. And I sent her the form. I think she had not read it properly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it had both our signatures. And me, I didn't know where to sign.
Yeah, there's
So
no
I
clear
signed just,
provision for signing. I also didn't know where to sign.
yeah. So I just signed where you signed yours. You
Okay.
see? That's when they returned it. But now I asked her to show me where I could sign, but
Yeah.
this is her response. This is what I asked her. I asked her,
Yeah.
as for the funding contract, I don't seem to find it in my email. Could you be referring to the individual commitment form as the funding contract? If that is the case, on which page do I place my signature on the form?
Yeah. And she has not
And
responded to tell
then,
you which page.
no, they've responded. They've responded.
No,
They've
appropriately.
said,
And she
yes.
responded in a clear way to your
That's what
question.
no, I don't understand what she's saying, but I want to read it for you.
Yeah.
This is what she said. Absolutely. The contract represents the individual commitment. For now, we will need the form completed with your personal information. The signature will be requested, the legal department signature. Thank you for sharing the completed commitment form with us.
All right. So it seems that there's another contract coming from the legal department which you need to sign. The English is not very good, but it seems like that's what she's trying to say. So you've completed this one and even signed it. Maybe you can write to her to ask her if there's any other obligation on your part or our part on that form. And then you can ask her to clarify when she's going to send the contract from the legal department. Of course, it's a contract. If it's coming from the legal department, it's going to be a contract. So you can ask her when she's going to send the uh, contract for your signature from the legal department, or even document from the legal department for you to sign. Something like this.
Okay, let me write that.
Yeah. It seems the English, are they Arabs? You told me these guys are Arabian. Do they speak English as their main language?
French.
Oh, then of course they're going to have issues with English now. Those ones.
So you are saying I ask when?
So there are two things. One, you want to confirm with her that what you've sent is sufficient. So you can ask it in a simple way that there's no more that's required from us on the commitment agreement. It's sufficient because that's how it sounds. But it's good to be clear. That's one. Number two, when or like which date are you going to send the document from the legal department for me to sign? It will be good to work with dates. So she doesn't tell you we'll send next week. You know, that's how people talk. Send next week. But next week has Monday. It even has Sunday. Sunday is next week. It also has Saturday next week. So if they can be specific, it helps us to organize ourselves. So if they can give you a date, it's nice.
Okay.
Yeah. There's also this thing of conditions and requirements. I think it's good to be clear if they do have some condition or some requirement from us. For example, they might want you to also sign an NDA. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, definitely. That one they told me.
Yeah. So You can ask a general question also. What other conditions and requirements may be required? Some organizations even ask you to sign a compliance agreement, which is a form that tells you not to be corrupt or not to participate in corruption. These days, that one is there now.
What other conditions and requirements?
Well, conditions and requirements would be things like, you see, the contract is one document.
No, I'm asking. You said me to ask if there is.
If there's any other conditions and requirements required in order to receive the funding that you need to do. Signing the documents on the contract, that's one. But there could be other requirements, like signing the NDA,
Condition.
and there could be other compliance issues. But you see, so those kind of things, which it's good that they are clear on these conditions and requirements. Otherwise, they will come on one. If there are a list and she knows them, she can just give you that list upfront.
Okay.
And if you suspect that there are some issues that need our action, which we can't imagine, just issues which we need to do, we can discuss that. I don't know if you can think of anything that need our immediate action. Have you done something like given them your account details?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So we can start. I'll just reword it.
All right, no problem. So the next thing on our side now that we need to start doing, although this may not be necessary within the 6 months of the work, but it's necessary once we come to the end of the work, the legal structure and status. And why I say it is largely because you see on that commitment agreement, they were saying that they will be part owners of the foreground of the business. But they didn't say it the way I've said it. You see, there's the business and there's the app, or you could say that business and the product. They want to be part owners of the earnings, the money that's generated. You see, the easiest and cleanest way to do that, as we discussed, is to give them a share of the business. You see, that's the cleanest way. But their organization might not be allowed to have a share. I don't know it is, but these are discussions to have. So, but now we are saying we can give a share to them. Let's say it's 10%, so they have 10%. So whatever the business earns, they earn 10% of that. If it's 5%, whatever the business earns, they get 5% of that. So that's how that can be resolved. But it has to be resolved on a business that is structured in a way that allows for that. That's why we need to look at the legal status of this. Now, the issue of how much you're earning and everything will become a discussion, a serious discussion, towards the end of the 6 months. They're even saying 8 months, but towards the end of the 8 months, it will become a serious discussion because if people see, this one can make money, they'll now know part of that money is theirs. They'll now start thinking of further investment and things like that. So that's when this legal structure should be in place. This legal structure costs money and needs some time. The time it needs is not too long. It can happen within the space of a month, even to be safe, 2 months, but it can happen within that space. The issue is that if it needs money, we need to budget. So if money is coming, then we have to put aside money for this legal structure. And some of the time issues are to do with, let's say, name reservation. You have to, even though you have if you're going to register your company by upgrading it, that upgrade itself requires a name reservation. You have to still reserve the name the way you did the first time. And then there'll be other things that will be imposed on you because you're a social enterprise business. So they'll have their registration and financial requirements for that. Just as an example, you might find to register an NGO costs 50K. Just the registration cost for that. You see, and if you're going to, you know, do what you need to do, you might have to visit another office in government for some kind of background check. They have to do a background check on you. You see, they may have all these kind of registration requirements. That and those things need time. And you're dealing with government, so government can take they can be quick, they can be very slow. So these are the things to do now before we start the work, because the work will take our time and this will be a distraction away from us. And then the other one, the third item I've put here is the capital structure. This is important for investors. We have to decide on the number and the type of shares. For example, if let's say you're setting up, you know, let's say it's a social impact company limited by guarantee. Now they'll ask you, so how many shares do you want within it in terms of the structure? Let's say you want 100 shares. That means you can divide the company into 100 slices of cake. That means if you got 100 investors who come, you can give each one a slice, equal slice. It's just a way of dividing up the shares, that's all. But it's legal. These are legal instruments. So, but the more you say, if you say 100, or if you say, let's divide them into 10 slices, 10, 100 will attract a higher duty cost than 10. You see, now for an NGO or for a not-for-profit organization, this kind of social impact organization, we don't know how much that would cost. So it's a very important discussion to have now before money comes, so that we also budget it. We know that if we're going to divide it into 10 slices or 20 slices or 30 slices, then those shares will attract this much duty, and then we can pay for that so that the process can be ongoing. So these are the things to consider under the legal structure status. Jackie, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. What
Okay.
you said, it makes sense. So we shall just do them. Maybe I think I'll start with the
Yeah.
reserving a name.
Yeah. You can even use Chungunzima and then it becomes like limited or whatever. You
Yeah,
can add on.
I'm looking for my notebook to write.
Okay.
I want to tell you,
Yeah.
uh, the finances, they're going to give me even less. They're not going to give me.
Yeah, you had said 22,000 was 20,000. I heard you saying that last time.
Yeah. So they're giving me that, and the document says it's 6,000, 8,000, then 6,000.
Yeah. So we've captured that in our business plan. Now I need
Okay.
us, you see, because the business plan has broken down a lot of things, we now need to break down the costs within the different departments. Now we have departments. So there are three essential departments, but we need to now divide the costs according to the three essential departments. This legal department is under, or this legal section is under the department of, you can say, general management. So general management will have things like legal issues. It will have things like HR issues, like personnel issues. It will have things like finance. So under general management, finance, HR, legal, those are three departments that we can already see, or sections we can already see within the general management department. It's just a way of breaking things down so that it's easier for us to talk in relation to the breakdown. That's why I'm talking like this, so that we know we have to have costs that are legal, we have to have costs that are financial. You see, financial will be about bookkeeping and record keeping and eventually accounts. We have to, by the end of the 6 months, we have to provide accounts for everything that we have spent. We have to do that, because if we don't, um, it will not look like we know what we're doing, especially to investors, which will not be good. So we would want to have those accounts done. So there's a financial department anyway, so we'll have that. And then the HR is an issue, because if we're thinking of engaging people, some will be temporary, some might be on contract like that. Then that's an HR issue, because they need contracts to be clear. They need job descriptions. We need to follow the law in terms of how much we can pay, minimum wage and above, things like those. So that is an HR issue. So we need to have oversight of it and what costs it's going to attract. So that's why, Yeah, that's why it's good for us to start these discussions before the money comes, so that each department is costed. Like what I'd wanted us to do now was to look at the uh, general management, or let me just say the legal, the you can call it social impact department, to see what costs are there. Next time we can look at the financial section, HR section, and we can look at the technology department. So we can look at 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 them, so that by next week we now have a breakdown of all the costs that we require for the social impact department, the general management department or administration department, and the technology department. By end of next week we should have that, and it's a breakdown, so that we kind of have a projection based on our business plan how this money is going to be spent. And then of course at the end we account for it, so that we have that um, uh, we have books kept in a way that investors will feel that we know what we're doing. You see what I mean?
Yes.
So, all right. So these ones need to be done, and they're done at Sharia House or through eCitizen. But if you have trouble with it, if this is going to give you a lot of trouble and you feel you want help with it, I can assist with this one. They'll need a name to start, but I can get people to act on this one if you feel it's a bit heavy for you and you don't have a chance of doing it. So you can let me know. You see, it's something you're responsible for, but if you need help with anything that you're responsible for, we can work together. You see, and then if we're going to get people to come in to help, also like that. You're responsible for something, but someone works under you.
Okay. Let me try. I'll
Yeah.
try, just see if I am able to.
Okay.
Yeah. If
So
I'm not able to, then we can get someone. At least maybe we need at least one assistant for this project
yeah,
that we
but
can both rely
just saying it
on.
out of your top of your head, if you look at the business plan, you see just the program. Let's say departments, just the programs. That one alone, it requires you running workshops with different stakeholders. Just that one seems to me that you might need two people minimum. And when you're actually running the workshop, you might need some temporary people. So maybe you want to add two temporary and two on contract. You see something like this, because when we'll go through it anyway. And then when you look at the partners alone, just partners, because you have to establish meaningful contacts with partners. These are guys who give you money. Again, there you may need two people who are on contract. Okay? And you might want to engage others who are on commission. Those are like temporary. So, so that gives you a better sense of what you really need. If you look at exactly what activities are going on, then you get a better sense of what you need. And then, of course, when you look at the administrative department, you see there's a legal component, there's a financial component, there's an HR component. If you don't have the skills for these things, then you need someone who can help in that area, one person who can help in administration. You see, like a registrar or someone who has secretarial skills, but they can provide and assistance on all these things we're talking about. Someone who, when we know what we're like now, we need to get this registration done. Someone who can follow it up and make sure it's done. Someone like that. If you might need, so you need for each department, it needs their things. Even me in technology, I'll need someone. You see something like that. So those things are the things we need to be clear on. Because when the money comes, we have to, if we're getting someone, we have to figure out how much will that person cost, for how long. If it's a contract, is it 3 months, 6 months? This whole project, the time frame they're giving us is 8 months. So are we keeping people for 8 months? And who is permanent? And I mean not permanent, but on contract, and for those 8 months or 6 months or 3 months, and then who is temporary, maybe for the duration of a workshop, things like that. You see, so that is something we need to cost very exactly. Then we're good. When the money comes, we know how to account for it. We even know how to spend it. Okay, let's look at the types of social enterprises. Because when you're registering at Sharia House, they're going to ask you that. Which type of organization do you want to register? So I was looking in Kenya at the different types of non-profit organizations that exist. So these are NGOs, but in Kenya they're called NPOs. But under NGOs, there are different subcategories. You have for-profit NGOs. You also have not-for-profit NGOs. You see, so we have to think it through. Do you want to, because the social impact investors, the ones who come in, they're those who are for-profit social impact investors, and those who are not-for-profit social impact investors. See, so there are different types. If we register a not-for-profit social impact company, it will not be interesting to someone who is for profit. A social impact investor who is for profit will not be interested. You see, because they can't fit into that. So we have to think of the kind of investor we are interested in attracting, and even the kind of partners we want to work with who will help us to generate funds. So partners are not the same as investors. Investors will have some stake in the company. It's almost like they're buying shares. Whereas partners will do contracts with, and we'll give them what they're asking for. They'll ask for ABC, we'll give them ABC, and in exchange, they give us money, they pay for it. That's a partner. Okay, so we need to think. These are 3 or 4 types that I could find. There are others, of course. I thought these are the ones that might apply. I could add on here. Let me just add on the for-profit one so that we capture it. I'm going to add it here. We can check with Sharia House if they have this one for profit. This is NGO, non-government organization. All right, so these are the ones. Non-profit organization, for-profit, non-governmental organization, company limited by guarantee. The company limited by guarantee is the kind of company that is having goals, social impact goals, and it has a board. In fact, if you're going to go in front of investors, you need to have a board. You can't go with a management board. You have to have an advisory board that informs and advises and oversees the management board. That's something I'd forgotten, but you need to have that. So we need to add that as one of the things that we need to do. We need to identify board members so that we can establish a board. Now, the moment you go to start registering these companies, like a company limited by guarantee, they're going to ask you for the constitution of the organization, and they'll ask you for the board members. They'll ask for that. So it'll impose on us having that board. So we have to start thinking of it now. You see, again, these are the things which take time, because you have to take time to. If you have a list of, let's say, 4 board members. Now, those board members, you need to approach them, you need to ask them, you need to sell them on the idea, they need to accept. You also don't want people who will not turn up for meetings, because board members, their activity is usually around meetings, like AGMs and planning meetings, and, well, top level meetings. So if we choose board members who are good, but they don't turn up for meetings, that's not helpful. So we need people who we can see can be in that state. But if they can, they need to be given time to make up their minds to be part of it. So we can't rush them. So it's something to do also, to start thinking of them and then to start approaching them so that they can now be part of the board. Now, the advisory board is, from an investor's perspective, they'll be interested to know who is in your board, the social impact investors, because they know that these people are the ones who grow your network. When you're looking for partners, for example, your board are the ones, if you've got the right board, they'll help you to get partners because they are connected. If you have the right board, let's say you have government, you need access to government, and it's deep access. If you have a member who has, somehow deep access to government, then that will not be an issue. And when you're in social impact, sometimes you're dealing with the government agencies a lot, because you need to get licensing or you need to have approvals and things like those. So The board members are not friends, let me say. You're not doing someone a favor. You're getting people who will make sense to investors when they're coming in. You'll see. The investors themselves will want to sit on the board. They'll bring someone who they'll say, this one is representing our interests, and they'll sit on the board. So that board's advisory. So they'll be giving advice from the investor's perspective on the board. And the other advisors should also be at the same level of understanding and utility, not just joyriders, is what I'm saying. If they're joyriders, then it will be seen as a negative on the company's side, not a very good company to invest in. But they can always say, if they like the company, they can say change the board. They can also say that. Okay, so it's good to start thinking about it, and then we don't have to have a big board. This is a small company, so it doesn't have to have a big board. Just a few people who we can justify and say that board members. Okay, so here we have this benefit corporation. This is like social responsibility type of organization that Kenya has. It's it's like what Safaricom registered. They registered Safaricom Foundation as a benefit corporation. It also applies to startups. You can also do that. This one's for profit. Well, I don't say for profit, but it has its own tax benefits. Let's put it that way. All these have tax benefits, but the for benefit corporation has its special category of tax benefits. One of the reasons why companies create these things is partly because when they put money into the benefit corporation, they take it from money they would pay to tax. So they don't pay to KRA, they just put it straight into this benefit corporation activity. Then KRA accept and it's traded off. And then you have the social enterprise organizations. So I don't know exactly what a social enterprise is. I mean, how to differentiate, but it's one of the options that are there in terms of organizations you can register. But some of these are limited geographically. Like you might find the for-profit NGO allows you to register in other countries, but not for profit might only allow you to register in Kenya, something like that. Maybe social enterprise is global. So there are limitations that are geographic also, depending on the type of registration that you choose. So I think it requires some thought so that you get the one that fits into how you see the business growing. Yeah.
So don't have to think now.
No, you don't have to think now. It's just for us because you see, next time we meet, I'd like us to go through the same thing with the finance and HR and technology so that we have clarity of those, you can say, big picture activities that need to be done. And you see, once we have clarity of that, is when we can now start breaking it down into activities that we can cost. You see, because we have to cost. And then that way, when we start spending, we're not just spending, we're spending according to what's needed. We don't have to spend money that's needed in June, in January. You see? Yeah.
If I say,
Yeah.
if I do that for profit and NGO, will I have to pay tax? Will I be taxed?
Yeah, you'll be taxed, I think, but the tax may not be at the same rate as if you're not a for-profit NGO. It probably won't be the same rate. But KRA is looking for money, and this one of Ruto is particularly looking for money. I mean, they're very hungry. So
Yeah,
a lot of
don't see what the money doing. Okay, continue.
Yeah. So what happens is that you see when you have different governments, they try to help jumpstart the economy by giving tax waivers to certain types of organizations. So those tax waivers that used to exist may not exist now. The way I've seen this particular government behaving, they're probably looking for little money that they can get. So if they just see that, hey, there's big business changing hands amongst social enterprise and they're not taxed, they'll tax them. You see, just even if it's kidogo, but they'll tax them so that they get something there. So I suspect it's like that. And you know that tax bill which was rejected, they're bringing it back, but they're bringing it back one. Like they've split it up into small things, and now they're dealing with people one-on-one. So if you're in the social enterprise industry, you'll get a revised tax based on social enterprise. That's what I mean by the tax bill coming in pieces. So it's of course trying to be very clever about it, because before it just worked against them when it was all in one bill, and then everyone targeted that bill. But now when it's spread out this way, people don't even know, and maybe they don't even have to go through Parliament. I don't know, but it just means for people like us on the ground, there are costs which are being put at the level of KRA that we have to consider in our costing. That's what it means, and it's unfortunate, but the atmosphere for setting up these things then is not attractive in Kenya as it would be in Tanzania or Uganda or even other countries around us where they're giving waivers. You see, so that's part of the problem of Kenya actually. Those are things we can't control, but it's the political background we're in. Yeah. So your answer to your question is that we can't really know. We have to go and check whether for-profit, non-NGO organizations pay tax, and then we have to ask how much. Something like that. Okay.
Okay, let me.
Yeah.
You send me this slide or something.
Yeah. I'll send after this. I'll send it.
Okay.
Yeah. Then we have this one, the types of programs. So these programs, you see, so we have two departments. Well, three. We have the administrative department, then we have, but that's a cross-cutting department. But the main departments, which are vertical, is this. I'm calling it types of programs. Yeah, is the social impact department, and the social impact department runs different programs. That's what happens in the social impact department. Now, we need to be clear, just like the way in TUK, we have the design and creative media department, and then it runs two programs. It runs the design and the printing program. It's like that. So this one, the social impact department, runs a number of programs, but we have to agree on them. We don't have to start by running all of them. We have our KPIs, or we have our objectives. We have to meet our objectives. So the programs need to map onto those objectives. So let's look at them. There's this one, victim reporting and support program. See, that one seems to me to be very fundamental based on our objectives. Then there's this one, awareness and education program. This whole thing is not possible if communities are not aware. People need to be aware. So we need to have an awareness and education program. Then we have the data collection and policy advocacy program. So this one, data collection, is the thrust of the technology. The technology predicates on this data collection and the analysis of that data, and you can say the mapping of the findings to policies is part of what this program does. And you see, the policy advocacy is that we're not doing research and we're not gathering data and we're not analyzing data for the sake of research. We're not doing it for the sake of knowledge. We're doing it for the sake of transformation, for the sake of bringing about change. So we have to identify the policies which are either stifling, that are, let's say, not helping with the, let's say, domestic violence. Maybe we identify policies which are missing, which should be there in order to protect victims. So that's what we mean by policy advocacy. We have to be advocates for change within the policy, and then we collect the data that supports our arguments and our activism to bring about that change. So we're not just collecting data. It's not for knowledge sake. It's for impact, social impact at policy level. So this is what this program does. It seems like it's at the core also. There's also this one, the Technology Innovation and Development Program. I couldn't think of a better name, but it's really a research and development, program. But this program is very much focused on the technologies that are needed for us to implement and achieve our objectives. And in this case, we're focused on AI. There are technologies that work with AI. So it's AI-driven technologies that we're interested in. Okay, so this is what it is. I've just called it the Technology Innovation and Development Program. Then we have this one, the Community Partnership and Outreach Program. You see, it seems in order to scale the business, to grow it, it needs to have a ground game. And the ground game is what's going on at community level. Like when you're on the ground, you might find chamas, you might find women's groups, you might find women doing business, you might find um, school-going women. Someone becomes a woman when they're 18, so you might find women who are in school. So we don't know, but you see, this is a program and it's outreach and it's at the ground. We have to have a ground game. So that's what this program is. Again, it seems crucial for the survival of this idea because it's scalable on the ground. We can never miss people, whether we're in Mombasa on the coast, northern Kenya, South Kenya. I mean, wherever we are, we'll find a community. So this program is all over the country, or it targets people all over the country. And then there's investor engagement and finance sustainability program. This is marketing and sales. This one, yeah. But it has two components. That investor engagement is looking at the rounds of investment. Like now we have this round of investment, but the next round of investment, we need to plan for it. And that's what this program does. It aligns everything we do to the next round of investment so that when we go into that round of investment, we've put together a case that's persuasive to the investors. Now, that next round is maybe the seed capital round. If we have seed capital, it'll run for 3 years, maybe 3 to 5 years. So this investor engagement and finance sustainability program will run for those 3 years, now aligning the activities we're doing to the next round of investors, which might be the early stage investors. You see? So it's a program worth having, especially if we're going to be structuring the company to raise money through investor input. Okay? So you have
Okay.
yeah, there are two sources of income. It's this one that investors put in, but you also have the source of income that comes from partners, strategic partners. Yeah. But we'll look at partnerships. The partnerships have different categories. But what were you saying, Jackie? I heard your voice when you were here. What were you saying?
Yeah, I was just
Hmm.
responding, saying okay, so that you know I'm still there.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah. What the reason why I'm going through this list is that each one of these attracts a cost. We have to budget for the activities under each of these programs. You see? And these programs are called programs because they involve people. You see, when I say technology, innovation, and development program, that is now where technology meets people. You see, these are not. A program is where you call people together, you find out their needs, you provide maybe solutions, then you test to see whether the solutions are appropriate, um, and then you connect, let's say, the people you brought for that workshop, you connect them to the larger environment, other stakeholders. You see, and then you also get feedback from that. So that's what a program does. It runs a series of workshops that do these kind of things, and it's working with different types of people each time. You see, that's the difference. But it's doing the same things, and each time it's different people or types of people. And the kind of data we're collecting is very diverse because the people are very different and the groups are different. So it's like that. Um, so if you think about it, these programs are they can be costly. They can be costly. Depends. We'll start in Nairobi for proximity, um, and we'll see how it is. Once we start, we'll get a better understanding also of what's needed. But we have to plan and then cost, and then we go to the field. Then we have partners. So partners are people who will pay for the information we are analyzing and the reports we produce. So we need to identify them. We have social impact investors. These are like partners. I put them as top level partners. Investors will come in for equity, depending on the kind of company shares we're selling them. They'll take a piece of the equity. Some of them will want a share based on the impact, you see. So if they see that this program here, maybe we could say the community partnership and outreach program, if there's a great impact there, you might find that a partner is coming in and they want to invest because of that program. So, you know, partners have interests, and those programs where they can find the value of investing based on the impact. Some of them might just be looking at the numbers, others might be looking at the impact. But either way, they might want a share capital based on the performance of the business. And if they want it like that, they can also argue that when we come in, it's going to change the scope of the business because we have a big reach, we have a very big client base. Like let's say UNESCO come in, or even if it's UNICEF come in, they'll say, yeah, we have a very big community, and these communities have millions of people. So they're going to give us access to millions of people. That means the impact that they're contributing is high. Now they want a big share because they're making such a big performance impact. You see, that kind of thing is the kind of thing we have to think about when we are registering and choosing the type of business we want, because it influences the kind of investor we get. We have for-profit investors. These ones are very interested in profit. So if you are looking at a for-profit investor, we have to give them cash flows that shows that the business is not only growing in terms of sales, but it's also got life in it. It can scale outside the country, let's say the whole country and then outside the country, but it can also grow amongst different communities of practitioners. So even if you're saying that, okay, you're targeting women, but you could be targeting farmers, then you're targeting women in church, then you're targeting women groups in families, then you're targeting women of a certain age range. You see, so it's got to show that it can grow amongst different constituencies of a demographic. That is part of being scalable. And for profit investors, they like to see that you can scale profits. I mean, you can scale revenues, sales revenues, and they also want to see that you can scale the product itself. You can scale the product so that it can be everywhere. Okay. We'll have to demonstrate
Okay.
that it's just one of the categories. Then we have this category of non-governmental organizations, other organizations that would want the data that we are producing and analyzing and reporting. There'll be a number of them, so we have to know them. At least we just have to list them, even if there are 100, just list them so we have them. We can pick who we are targeting to start with. And then we have government agencies. This is very important because government can freeze the company's operation. They can freeze it completely. So it's important that we know exactly who we have to deal with in government, like KRA, for example. But there'll be others, you see. I don't know them, but if you do some homework, I'm sure you'll figure out which government agencies we have to deal with, all of them, so that we don't get caught flat-footed. And then the corporate social responsibility programs. Okay. Now, I put this in because it's there, but I don't know how it would apply to us. You know, but if we're looking at partners, we can partner with people like the Safaricom Foundation because all these organizations or companies that have corporate social responsibility going on are looking for programs that can make them look good, that can help them meet their KPIs. So if we know what the KPIs are for the Safaricom Foundation and similar organizations, we can come up with ways in which our programs can map onto their interests. And if we can do that, they can fund us. So they become partners. And then philanthropic foundations. These are like the Gates Foundation and all these different foundations that are already looking for, if you're working with women groups, they'll fund. If you're working with children groups, they'll fund. So as long as we can identify their interests and we can see how they overlap with ours, we can approach them as well. So this is a sales category. Partner categories are sales. We have community-based organizations, and these ones are registered formally in Kenya, the ones that do social welfare on the ground. It can be a funeral group, it can be a self-help group, it can be, these groups in the communities that are trying to do something for the community. Now, those ones might feel that what we're offering is good or it overlaps with their interests. So we also need to identify them, those community-based organizations. They're quite a number, but how to get them, I don't know. We may have to go to counties, I don't know. And then we have the academic and research institutions. Yeah, since we're doing research, and this is applied research, there might be ways in which we can benefit, and also we can benefit academic institutions, like TUK, for example, but others as well. I mean, it doesn't have to be limited to TUK. But let's, as academics, include that. I've included it just because I think we can get away with it. Technology partners, yeah, these are people like, let's say, the Microsoft, the Googles, the IBM, Amazon, and more. I mean, even Safaricom is a technology company. We can think of others. But these are just people who would feel that what we're doing can fit into what they're doing. We might need to suggest ways in which we can partner with some of these technology companies. So, so these are the partner categories. And remember, partner is someone who gives you money. If they don't give you money, they're not a partner. They give you money. And they may not give you cash money, but they'll give you something that if they did not give you, you'd have to pay for it. So if they give you that, that's like giving you money. So that's how we identify a partner. So it's not a partner is a very serious person to the business, because the business needs to generate income. So we need to have, for sustainability purposes, we need to have in each one of these a list of organizations that will give us money. Even the academic and research institutions, we're not just giving them data. We're not just doing that. We're having a relationship that's based on them giving us money. That's how it is. Okay, that's the end of it. So I wanted us to go through that. So next week we can go through the others, but at least now we within these categories we need to list the different, you can say, activities like workshops. There could be there are different activities that need to be done. A workshop is a testing ground, but there are other things that need to be done. So we can list the activities so that we have a sense of all the activities. Then we can cost that, and once we cost that, we have a sense of what can be done first, what can be done a bit later, and how money can be distributed to these different programs. Okay.
Okay, so
Yeah.
mm, based on the program you had shared,
Yeah.
I actually do have
Mm.
I've done something,
Okay.
but now I can't share. Let me see if I can log in through my laptop.
Okay. You
Yeah.
mean on your phone? No.
No, my laptop is on. The time it was acting out,
Yeah.
I'm just looking for the documents.
Okay.
Okay, sure. So I did, based on your program here,
Yeah.
it said I had two deadlines for January, user needs survey for January 7th,
Okay.
and there was something on 6th.
Mm.
Can't find it. I was supposed to do something on 6th.
Okay.
So I did the research. Yeah. So I
Yeah.
want to see if I can log in, because my computer seems to have woken up. So
Okay.
I'll log in, then I can share with you the documents.
Okay. You've logged in.
I've logged in. So let me look for the document.
Okay.
Well, I'll just go through it because now we'll finish your presentation. So
Yeah.
I don't want to do something that so I call this document assessing the market
Okay.
potential. So you had asked me
Yeah.
to do my research, like to base my facts on why I'm
Yeah.
get something to base my facts on why I'm doing this
Yes.
startup.
Yeah.
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 So you had asked me to check, okay, the following questions: who is affected? Get statistics on who is affected.
Yeah.
What is the market size?
Yes.
And can WIKA have a solution?
Yeah.
Let's say barrier assessment methods.
Yeah.
Huh? So based on the findings above,
yeah,
what can WIKA do? Yeah.
yes, yes,
So I got the say I looked at stakeholder challenges, like challenges with the legal procedures in Kenya on with regards to reporting SGBV.
okay,
So from here also I looked at the people we are the name we are forgetting, social workers. Yeah.
yeah,
Um, stakeholders are social workers, lawyers, doctors, all those, police. Yeah.
mm,
So this I got from there is research for social work from social workers, from lawyers, um, at and then now I looked at challenges from institutional level, like what happens when someone goes to a police station, what happens when someone goes to a hospital, and things like that.
yeah,
And then also I discovered another challenge, like lack of coordination, and I think this is where we can peg our
mm,
startup on
yeah,
the lack of coordination. So what you are doing is bringing in the coordination and the management. Yeah.
yes, true.
Actually, I found out they call this management of SGBV.
What's
So
SGBV?
SGB, sexual gender based violence.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So they are victims. So the issue is managing the victims, or having
Yeah,
mechanisms
right.
that manage the victims.
Yeah,
Yeah. So at least I learned terms there. Then from that also, I
yeah,
did. Now this is the deadline for. This was the above was the deadline for 7th.
okay.
This other one was user need survey toolkit template. So this actually what I did. I got the template from ChatGPT and then I just
Yeah,
customized it. So it would give me a template on, say, if we do the workshop, what kind of questions we may want to ask to help build up the prototype.
yeah. Your voice has gone.
Why did they report? What was the experience when they reporting? My voice has gone. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now. Yeah,
So I'm saying this template will
mm,
just help, like in the workshop,
yeah,
uh, guide us to know things like,
right.
say, someone who's a victim
Mm,
or someone who knows a victim, and we ask them if they ever reported, why didn't they report if they didn't report, or
yes,
what was the experience when they reported. See, we need that kind of data.
yeah,
And then it is divided into different sections.
okay.
Say for example, after before the now when I was doing this template,
Yeah,
it gave me an idea of how we can craft the curriculum
okay.
of that day. Yeah.
Yeah,
So I think we shall just start with that, give them a talk and then tell them why we are here, and then
yeah,
explain the importance of, okay, not explain, but do that thing of sexual awareness by reporting all those things, because I realized also most of these people actually, and this I found out from the research, they
yeah,
don't know you can report. They
right.
don't know sexual violence is a crime
Oh,
because they've grown around it, they've seen it.
oh,
So they don't think you can, it's a crime that you can report and the person be prosecuted.
oh, I see.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
mm,
that's why it's divided into various sections. And then at some point in the workshop,
yeah,
I have a template for the workshop of the program, like 1 day training workshop.
yeah.
So I'm going to share this document
Oh,
with you.
okay.
So I'm seeing my laptop is acting up. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Mm,
Okay. So in the workshop, I get, like I've told you, we're just going to do a program, explain our objectives, explain
yep,
why we are here and what we hope to achieve.
Right.
And then we're going to have a session where we are going to train those people on how to use the prototype.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
during that program.
Yes.
And then also based on the findings, like they don't know how to report, they don't know how to go about getting help, like the lack of coordination.
Yeah.
You don't even know where to begin.
True.
That's why many rape cases are not reported. People
Yeah.
go quiet because they don't know
Yeah.
where.
True.
So I think that's just the gist of my survey. I'm going to send it to you, Ro. You don't need to edit it.
Okay.
Yeah, but I think I'll just build up on.
All right.
Yeah. So the training workshops we're
Yeah.
going to target. We're going to do one for community leaders
Yeah.
and members, and then we're going to do one. We would need to do one for law enforcement personnel,
Uh-huh.
the police.
Yeah.
Would need also to do one for social workers and the one for advocates and their support staff,
Okay.
and then the general public. That's what I
Advo-
figured we need to do.
advocates are who? Lawyers.
Yeah,
Okay. Hmm. This one, so it's domestic violence, is it?
yeah,
So then you're talking of family lawyers.
yeah. We'll get there.
Mm.
So I'm just sharing based on
Yeah,
the deadlines because I told you I'll have something.
that's true. True.
Yeah, so I'll share also this document with you so that you see.
Right.
But in the meantime, just know I'm just going to be building up on it.
Okay. All right.
Yes.
Sound.
So are
Okay.
we done with the meeting?
Yeah, that's the end of the meeting. I think